let's talk about Taiwan.
China has launched major military drills around Taiwan.
Taiwan is often portrayed as the next battlefield between China and the United States.
We know each other well.
But this archipelago, made up of more than 160 islands, is one of the strongest democracies in Asia. The first within the continent to legalize same-sex marriage, a territory that produces the most advanced computer chips in the world. Home to 23 million people with its own currency, flag and passport. Yet, for most of the international community, it doesn't exist as a state. Only 12 countries in the world recognize the territory. Meanwhile, China claims that the archipelago is part of its territory and has been increasingly making its presence felt with massive military drills, missiles fired near and over the island, and by surrounding it with ships and aircraft. All this has led many to wonder, is a Chinese invasion of Taiwan imminent? How did we get here, and how has Taiwan become a key piece on a global geopolitical chessboard?
China wants to make it clear that it has the military capacity to be able to launch a blockade or even possibly, ultimately, an invasion of Taiwan.
It's very important to get prepared.
I don't think China will make a move like that. The price will be too big.
Well, to understand why Taiwan is one of the most sensitive flashpoints in the world today, we need to go back in time, a long way back. For thousands of years, Taiwan was inhabited by the Austronesian peoples, organized in tribes with no political ties to mainland China. From the 17th century onwards, Taiwan shifted from European colonization to fall under the control of Koxinga, a Chinese leader loyal to the Ming dynasty, and then from 1683 as a marginal frontier of the Qing Empire.
So Taiwan was finally declared a separate province in 1885 to speed up development and military defense by the Qing dynasty.
That link ended in 1895 when China ceded Taiwan to Japan, which ruled the island for 50 years. But its turbulent history doesn't end here. Taiwan returned to the Republic of China in 1945 after Japan's defeat in the Second World War. But on the mainland, a brutal civil war raged for 20 years between the nationalists led by Chiang Kai-shek and the communists led by Mao Zedong, who won in 1949 and proclaimed the People's Republic of China on the mainland. After fleeing to Taiwan with millions of refugees, Chiang Kai-shek proclaimed it the true China and ruled the island under martial law, with his Kuomintang party tightly controlling politics and suppressing opposition. From that moment on, there were two governments claiming to represent China, one on the mainland and one on Taiwan. But to clarify any doubt, one essential point: Taiwan has never been part of the People's Republic of China. For years, Chiang Kai-shek kept insisting that his China was the real China, and his allies, including the United States, went along with this. But in the 1970s, the island started to become more and more isolated. In 1971, the United Nations recognized Beijing as the sole representative of China.
Do you have anything to say? No. This is a final leaving?
And in 1979, the United States broke off its official diplomatic ties with Taiwan.
They cannot recognize Taiwan as a country anymore. And that is really a big strike to Taiwanese people.
But what followed was not the country's decline. In fact, quite the opposite. On the national level, Taiwan managed to reinvent itself, investing in education, urbanization, the rise of a professional middle class, and semi-independent media. From the 1980s onwards, Taiwan has continued its economic, social, and political growth, functioning today as a de facto independent state, but sticking to a cautious line: the status quo. That means acting as an independent country without formally declaring independence, despite internal divisions within the government over relation with mainland China.
作为总统，我的态度一直都很清楚，就是坚定捍卫国家主权。
According to recent polls, 86% of Taiwanese people support maintaining the status quo.
I grew up here. My life is here. I love this place. I love this land, this island. So of course I will feel like I'm more Taiwanese.
The Taiwanese also want to avoid meeting the same fate as Hong Kong. Hong Kong residents lived under the principle of one country, two systems, remaining a part of China while preserving democratic values. However, in 2020, following months of pro-democracy protests, China imposed the law without any local vote, putting the judiciary, elections, and freedom of expression under its direct control.
We're afraid and we're also worried that Hong Kong will soon become the same as China. And there will be no freedom, no democracy, no human rights.
On the international level, the United States passed the Taiwan Relations Act in 1979, which guaranteed the island continued military support and cooperation. Since the 1980s, the United States has adopted a policy known as strategic ambiguity, recognizing the People's Republic of China as the sole Chinese government without recognizing Taiwan as a sovereign state, while opposing any attempt to alter the status quo by force. This position allows Washington to preserve its relationship with Beijing, which insists on the One China principle as a condition for diplomatic ties. The Taiwan Relations Act also provides for the United States to supply Taiwan with the means to defend itself. Today, the United States is Taiwan's principal weapons supplier.
The most important element in the Taiwan Relations Act is the Self-Defense Pact. This act is not without contradiction, because actually we do not know exactly what it means to say defensive arms, because any defensive arms can be understood as offensive by another party.
台湾是中国的神圣领土，两岸人民血脉相连，血浓于水。
But why does China care so much about controlling Taiwan?
En même temps que cet argument idéologique de réunification, dans l'idéologie chinoise du Parti communiste, la stabilité est tout aussi importante. Et donc, elle contrebalance également cette idée de réunification.
Whenever the United States moves closer to Taipei, Beijing reacts angrily, like in 2022, when former Speaker of the US House of Representatives Nancy Pelosi visited Taiwan and China responded with military drills.
Are you willing to get involved militarily to defend Taiwan if it comes to that?
Yes,
You are.
that's the commitment we made.
Behind the standoff between the United States and China lie major strategic reasons.
Taïwan constitue un verrou stratégique pour la Chine, notamment au niveau de la deuxième chaîne d'îles, donc après Taïwan, où se trouve la 7e flotte américaine sur l'île de Guam et à Hawaï.
And above all, technological reasons. Today, the island produces 60% of the world's semiconductors and more than 90% of the most advanced logic chips. There is a strong chance that the chips in your phone come from Taiwan. These semiconductors power everything, from cars to artificial intelligence systems, making the United States heavily dependent on Taiwan's industry.
Un choc dans le détroit de Taïwan, quel qu'il soit, pourrait entraîner une augmentation du prix du matériel technologique. Pour ce qui est des semi-conducteurs les plus avancés, c'est l'industrie de défense sur le quantique ou l'intelligence artificielle qui pourrait être impactée. Et puis bloquer des routes commerciales très importantes pour le commerce, pas uniquement pour les semi-conducteurs.
A conflict with Taiwan would therefore have international consequences. But will this war really happen? In recent years, China has intensified its operation in the airspace and maritime areas around Taiwan. These operations are no longer linked solely to a specific political event, but have become regular, widespread, and systematic. Each time, war seems imminent. Yet in reality, several scenarios remain possible. First, the blockade. Surround the archipelago and cut it off from essential imports, such as energy and raw materials, in order to disrupt Taiwan's economy and increase pressure on the government.
Pour le blocus, cela permettrait d'être relativement peu coûteux pour la Chine, mais est également difficile à tenir dans la durée, le détroit de Taïwan étant peu profond et les typhons nombreux. Le détroit de Taïwan n'est navigable qu'environ 6 mois par an.
Or an all-out war, which could involve the use of drones and amphibious landings along the coast.
Même si c'est le scénario qui est le plus coûteux pour la République populaire de Chine et qui pourrait être également très coûteux pour son contrat social, pour la stabilité, mais aussi pour cette capacité à pouvoir perdre des hommes pour Taïwan, alors que la Chine traverse une crise démographique profonde.
But China's strategy is also to buy time, simultaneously pursuing seduction, military pressure, and gradual erosion of the status quo.
Acheter une partie des élites taïwanaises, investir sur les réseaux sociaux, isoler Taïwan sur la scène internationale, la déstabilisation des élections, faire évoluer les lignes de fracture, que ce soit sur l'espace maritime taïwanais, sur l'espace aérien.
Taiwan also sits at the nexus of major sea routes through which goods worth around $2.45 trillion pass each year. If Beijing controlled the island, it would gain direct access to the Pacific and weaken United States' influence in the region.
When Taiwan have something happen to Taiwan, they will help Taiwan.
And for neighboring states such as Japan, the Philippines, and Australia, a Chinese attack on Taiwan would trigger a major economic crisis. Taiwan's society has forged its own political model and now finds itself at the center of international tensions. The people of Taiwan are now betting on preserving their way of life while avoiding conflict and on trying to seek greater international legitimacy. At the same time, given the archipelago's location and signification, neither China nor the United States are able to back down, while the rest of the world watches the superpower rivalry play out.